Good evening and welcome back to the IRN-CRU podcast, an NFL podcast made in Scotland by NFL lovers. This is part 2 of your Week 12 review crew, and I'm your host, Ross Sterling, or Studs as everyone knows me as. And I am once again joined by our favourite, in fact I better not say that because it's a big scud debate.
Favourite's fine. Let's go with favourite.
Our favourite Pats fan on the podcast, we've got Danny. How are you doing, mate?
Oh, good, mate. Looking forward to this next selection of games. So there's some absolute crackers in amongst that. Not too many teams I want to throw into the fire, so
we've got the bad ones at the road, and we'll move on to these ones. As you mentioned again, we've got some really good games in the evening of Sunday. Well, Sunday evening for us, and the kind of wee early hours of the morning, and then on to Monday Night Football as well, which we'll get on to in our chats as well. So we're going to kick straight off with this one. We'll jump into a divisional game. We've got Tennessee Titans travelling in to the Houston Texans. So our very own Kilted Texan was obviously over there for the the Lions game, and then the Cowboys game he was at, and P. Stew as well was at the Cowboys game, as Cowboys Texans as well, although he'd probably rather forget it. It looked like the Celtic Texans certainly had a more enjoyable time than him. But yeah, moving on. So the Texans move on. They're 7-4, top of the division, against the Tennessee Titans, who are, I was going to say prop them up, but they're second bottom. So they're 2-8 Tennessee Titans coming in. So we've got Will Levis starting again for the Titans. And CJ, well, I was going to say CJ Stroud-led Texans. It's probably the Joe Mixon-led Texans, to be honest. He seems to be the one that's doing the most damage for them this season. He's been electric since moving for the Bengals. 10 touchdowns already on the season. He must be getting close to a career year for Joe Mixon. What are you thinking about this one, Danny?
I hate Tennessee. I've got to say that. It's hard to see any redeeming features about them. I hated watching them when the New England played them. I still watched every snap. Obviously, Drake Me at the end was good fun, but they're not a good team. They don't have a quarterback. Will Levis is not the answer. Again, he'll be a good backup somewhere someday, but this is very much a hunt for Shedeur or whoever they might fancy quarterback. I think Houston they're still trying to find their way. I think Nico Collins back, absolutely massive. That's got to get Mixon fully healthy. He's got to be massive. CJ Stroud can come back, be that player we've seen last year down the stretch in particular. I think they're too good a team and too well coached to be 7-4. I think they will improve. I think they'll win this game. I think they'll improve further. I think the fact that I think I saw Ridley, Sneed, Tajay Spears, I think, weren't practicing for the Titans. It's hard to see another blowout for the home team here. Houston, I fancy them a lot. As I say, love the D'Amico Ryans. I think, what's the name? Offensive coordinator, Sloak. I think he has a lot to prove. He was obviously one of the top head coach candidates last season. I think his stock's dropped a wee bit here. It'll be interesting to see how he comes back. So, yeah, I think Houston take this one, but it's I think it'll be another Mixon show, to be honest. I think he'll run right over them.
Yeah, I think, as you said, you mentioned it on the first part of the podcast when we were talking about everything kind of starts after Thanksgiving. Can Houston find their feet, as you said, and go on that run between now and the end of the season and really show that, we belong in with the big boys like they did last year. They were unbelievable last year, and there's no getting away from that. CJ Stroud was absolutely electric and looked every bit of the offensive rookie of the year, which he took home. So it's can they start to kind of stack those wins together, as we mentioned for Baker Mayfield. Nico Collins coming back, massive for them. He is an unbelievable wide receiver. rightly paid earlier on in the season for the Texans. He's going to be the one that they want to build. And they want to build that offense around with Stroud. Mixon has been an absolute bonus for them. They picked him up for nothing. Gave him by running back standards, a kind of lower contract as well. And he's been balling out for them, even in the absence of Collins as well. So it is really for Texans, it's now about going on that run, getting your form, getting on fire, going into the playoffs, and seeing where you end up. Tennessee, as you mentioned, they're just a kind of tire fire just now. They're in the hunt for that number one pick, along with their division rivals, the Jags again, who seem to be in the hunt for that number one pick. And I think they can kind of write off the season at this point. Snead's been a massive loss for them. He was their big acquisition in the off season. He's missed the last 4 games now, I think, including that. I mean, there's no denying the guy's talent. As soon as he's going to be missing, you're losing one of your defensive weapons, because he showed in Kansas how good a player he is last year. So to have had that piece missing from your defensive side of things is only going to hamper them. And probably defense is the Titans' kind of strong point. It has been for the last couple of years. Like Salan in that defensive line is unbelievable. He just keeps putting up stats. He's probably a slightly underrated guy in the league because he has played with Tennessee. I think if he was on a franchise that was winning more, you'd probably be speaking a lot more about this guy. But yeah, I'm the same as you. I can't see anything other than a Texans blowout on this one.
Yeah, I'd tell if I look and kind of the stats I was looking at, kind of had Tennessee as the number one passing defense in the league, and I don't know if that's a typo on my part. Obviously, it's definitely, you wouldn't think it. I guess if you kind of do a bit of a blindfold test with people and say, like, who do you think it is? But they are putting up some stats there. But for me, Houston, you're talking about kind of they've got to grow now after sort of Thanksgiving and make that sort of playoff push. Stop turning the ball over. Just stop giving it up.
Yeah.
Protect the ball at all costs. That's how you're going to start the game. Don't make it easy for these teams. Just go there, take care of business in this one, move on. 27-13, that's what I've got for Houston.
Yeah, as you say, Will Levis needs to stop these kind of crazy attempts to kind of pass the ball when he's get 3 guys wrapped around his waist and just flat it straight into the other team. So if they can knock that in the head, then they'll give themselves a chance. But yeah, the way Mixon's been playing for me, and obviously Collins will be healthier than he was last week, so you're going to see his snap count increase. You don't have somebody like Snead who can follow Collins and really shut him down. Tank Dell's probably been a bit of a disappointment for the Texans
100%,
this year. Doesn't seem to have... It was electric at the start of the season last year before he kind of got injured. Doesn't seem to have kind of kicked on since he's come back for that injury. So, but yeah, I think we'll... Texans win on this one and move on, and Titans lick their wounds and see what happens next. Right, we'll not spend any more time on that one then, so since we both think it'll be a blowout. Speaking of blowouts, I think we're probably going to think this one might be a blowout as well. So we've got Kansas City Chiefs travelling to the Carolina Panthers. So the now 9-1 Chiefs, yes, we lost to the Bills. I do get it. I didn't dodge the review crew because our preview crew. In fact, that's a typo. We should be the preview crew. But I didn't dodge the review crew because we lost. All right, I will put that out there. The Chiefs will be looking to bounce back. We know that. Travis Kelce's already come out on his New Heights podcast talking about how he's angry at the performance that those guys put up in Buffalo. Again, it is the old adage. It's about how you react when you get punched in the face. I think it was the Mike Tyson thing. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. Let's see what the Chiefs do. They've had that punch in the mouth from someone you're probably going to see in the postseason. How are you going to react to that? Is their offense going to be better? Because the defense was actually pretty stout, particularly second half against the Bills. So the defense was doing their part. Again, offense needs to step up and do their part. So what are you... And then you've got the Carolina Panthers. Is it going to be Dalton? Is it going to be Bryce Young? I think we're now at the stage where it is Bryce Young still. He's he's looked okay in the last couple of games. He managed to cobble together a win, a couple of wins actually, against New Orleans and the Giants. What are you looking for in this one, Danny?
So a couple of points there. When you're talking about getting punched in the face, I think Kansas have been punched in the face all season, to be honest. There is the Rocky kind of monologue is, but they're still moving forward, getting punched in the face. The Bills just happened to jump their heads this week. It's like they did well with obviously the blocked field goal and everything, and the Isaiah Likely's big toe and things like this all kind of getting away from them. So it was coming. That loss was coming. They're a flawed team. They're a great team, but they're flawed. Carolina, although I think Kansas are winning this one, I don't see it being a massive issue. I don't think it's going to be a blowout because Carolina are starting to build. They're trying to build a culture. They're trying to find out what they've got. They've managed to put 2 wins back to back there. I don't think they're going to be any slouches. I think they can make it a wee bit tricky. As I say, Kansas are only blowing teams away. They're not really. I think they're always going to be ahead and they'll do enough. But I think they still give these teams a lifeline. They just let them back in. But I think it's a get-right game. I think Pacheco's back this week, I believe. You'll probably know better than me, big man, but I think he's back. Hunt, Juju, full participants, whereas I think Clowney and Sanders and Horn and Thielen and stuff like that are on the injury report for Carolina. So I'm not going to say that Kansas are going to lose, but I can still see them just. They're just not clicking. They're just not ticking now. They look, I say, a flawed team. It's probably the best way to do it. Still a great team, great pieces. If Travis Kelce was angry about the performance against the Bills, he should be even more angry about the performance against Denver. He should be more angry about the performance against some of the other teams, the Bengals and the Ravens, and some of the other teams, the Raiders. I think they performed far worse than one. So I think this is a get-right game for them. I think they go 10-1.
The thing is, I do get where Travis Kelce's coming from, and you mentioned obviously the Broncos and stuff like that. Those were the games where Kelce was stepping up. You look at his receiving against the Broncos, against the Bucks. Those games were the ones where he was stepping up. Last week he didn't have his best game, and I think that's probably an element of where his frustration's coming from. It was back to the Travis Kelce we got against the Ravens in week 1, where he was having like 3-4 catches for 20 yards and things like that. So I do get that element of it. I think Pacheco coming back is going to be massive for us. This is going to be. We activated his window last week. So I do think he will play this week. I think you'll still see obviously him and Hunt splitting at the moment, whilst he does get back fully. And then I think you're going to see. I think they're going to just try and ease Pacheco in, and then once you hit the post-season, that's when I think you're going to see Pacheco really take back over again. And he was our driving force in the run to the Super Bowl last year, and I think it's going to be the same again this year. You're going to see Pacheco smash in the mouth, and then we'll do a 5-yard pass to Kelce or D-Hop on the tight third downs, those kind of things. So I think we are getting him back at the right time, 100%. One of the underrated pieces that's going to be coming back, if not this week, I think in the next couple of weeks, is Charles Omenihu. He's on PUP at the moment, so he's come back off IR. I think that's going to be another massive piece in that defensive side of things as well. He is, again, we paid him from the 49ers to bring him over last year. He was stepping up and then some before he got his injury. So I'm looking forward to seeing Omenihu come back. And again, following his various socials, he looks to have the bit in his teeth as well. So, which is a frightening prospect to add another weapon into that defence. With the likes of Uche coming across for you guys. We've got Karloftis has been big. You've got John Cena, and as he's been getting called around the Chiefs, and Leo Chanel after his block. So the defence is just getting stronger. We need the offence to catch up, and I think Pacheco plays a part in that. So yeah, I'm going for a Chiefs win. I think we go 10-1 on this one. Carolina's been on the back of that rushing game, and that's where the Chiefs have been stopping a lot of teams. So I don't see Chuba Hubbard getting going in this one, and I think that all that does is that hampers Bryce Young, and it means that the guys like Chris Jones, Karlaftis can really feast on him. So I do expect our defence to have a massive game in this one. So, a nice easy one. So we're aligned for the first couple, Danny. So we'll crack on now to our first of the late night windows. We've got a divisional game. Denver Broncos, who we just mentioned, into the AFC West. So we've got Denver Broncos 6-5 travelling to Las Vegas Raiders 2-8. The Broncos seem to be a team getting it together, travelling into a team who have been a tyre fire all season. Let's be brutally honest about it. Antonio Pierce just seems lost, for lack of a better terminology. It doesn't know which quarterback he wants to start. They've now signed Desmond Ridder as well. Whether you see him splashing this one, I don't know. Sean Payton really seems to have got his rookie quarterback rolling. Bo Nix the last 2-3 weeks has looked excellent. Putting himself into that Rookie of the Year conversation, which we all thought Jaden Daniels was running away with. Bo Nix has just kind of went, hold my beer, let's go. What are you looking forward to in this one, Danny?
Bo Nix. I want to see what he continues to do, and it's hard to see other than him absolutely balling out against this team. What are they ranked? 29th defence in the league. I think Bo Nix is just going strength to strength. That Denver defence is no joke either. They will absolutely feast in this game. I kind of feel I'm repeating myself a lot during this. There's just so many bad teams this year. I actually don't remember having the disparity between the top sort of 6 or 7 teams in the lower half of the conferences. I don't remember such a big range, and this is just another one of them. You know, Denver look like they're going to be a playoff team. They look like they can easily get in through the wild card. They're obviously a lot of good teams in that division, but I wouldn't be surprised to see 3 teams in there make the playoffs between the Chargers, the Chiefs, and Denver. The way things are going, I think they'll beat up on Vegas this week. My notes I've taken for this, I'm trying not to swear in it, but I've got Vegas and that's a word beginning with F. With injuries, it seems like their entire roster is on the injury report. Like you say, they don't have a clue who they're playing at quarterback. They're chopping and changing. I think everybody knows that they're basically on the hot seat. Brady's coming into that building. He's going to slap his own sort of image on that. He's going to slam, your man, was his name, Mark Davis, I think he's called, is going to just hand it over to Brady, right? Show me how to do this. Get me a better haircut. I want a haircut like yours. We're going to go out and sort this mess. Pierce is gone. Need a quarterback. Don't be surprised to see maybe a couple of Sanders maybe make their way to Las Vegas in the postseason. Who knows? But yeah, again, I'm going back to my turnovers because I love them so much. But they're minus 15.
I think that's the worst one yet.
Yeah, I think it is. And so, move on. They're going to get a doing. I think that's where I'm going with this one. I think Bo Nix balls out. I think that defence absolutely feasts. At least one pick 6 in this game. Put your money in that if you fancy a wee bet builder sort of thing there. And I think it'll be 7 wins for Denver.
I do tend to agree with you in this one. I'm struggling to see how the Raiders win. Max Crosby could easily go off on the defensive side. He really could. But that offensive line for the Broncos, with what's his name? The guy with the belly. I can't remember. Quentin Minor. I think his nickname's Belly, I'm sure.
Yeah, right.
He has been absolutely balling out, and they're creating holes for whether it's Bo Nix on scrambles or Javonte Williams. Audric Estime was the kind of surprise one against us. He kind of stepped in. So yeah, as I say, the offensive line is no joke. So I do think that's where Max Crosby will then struggle. That then puts the pressure on the offense to drive. There's so much uncertainty in that offense that you just can't see how they can get anything done. Obviously, Surtain on the other side for the Broncos, as soon as he's in that defence, he is a massive difference maker on the back end. I think he missed a couple of games earlier in the season and they really struggled in the defensive side. as soon as he's been fit and in there, that, as you said, that defence has been balling out. They've been nigh unstoppable. So yeah, I'm with you. I think this is just a complete blowout on this one. Oh, right. So we'll know again another blowout. So 3 blowouts to kind of kick us off. I think the next 4, I think we'll probably see as being closer. So hopefully we're not on blowout front. We might start to see a bit of difference in our picks. But yeah, again, we'll stick with a divisional. No, we're not going divisional actually. We're going to go to Lambeau Field, and we're going to go to a repeat of the AFC Championship game for last year. Green Bay obviously looking to avenge their complete and utter capitulation at the 49ers last year, where they somehow managed to throw away a chance to go to the Super Bowl. But the 49ers obviously travelling to Lambeau Field. 49ers 5-5 against the 7-3 Packers. 49ers haven't been as electric or steamrolling teams as they were last year. They, again, to use your word to describe the Chiefs, they seem flawed this year. They really do. It's just that they don't look right at all. The Packers, they've been picking up some scrappy wins. Obviously, last week against the Bears is a perfect example, the blocked field goal. So they've certainly not been firing in all cylinders either with Jordan Love this year. But they're getting the wins. That seems to be the difference between the two teams. How are you seeing this one going, Danny?
So after through 11 weeks, I would not have thought we were sitting talking about the 5-5 49ers, to be honest. That is a massive surprise. In my head, there's something Colin Cowherd always sort of talks about. It's emotional wins. And it's about how teams come off of an emotional win, you know, and it can be hard to get them back up to those sort of levels and they can go a bit flat. But having said that, having this 49ers team flying from nice sunny California up to, I believe it's snowing today in Green Bay in Wisconsin, I'm struggling to actually see anything other than a Green Bay narrow victory. But again, I've talked about flawed teams. Green Bay, they've got the pieces there, but Jordan Love has been turning the ball over, but he's got them playing well. That's up there. Trent Williams wasn't practicing this week. I don't know if he was just held out, just given his age. And, you know, it's tough being an offensive lineman. But I know Purdy and Kittle were limited practice as well. This is a close one. I think just given the conditions, having to travel across the country, I'm going to edge it towards Green Bay. I think they are, well, I was just on the spread there, they're -2.5. That feels about right to me. But yeah, I think it's time for CMC to step up. I think we're losing Ayuk. The passing game's just not getting going right. They're fighting with each other on the sidelines. Debo's grabbing folk by the necks and stuff like that. Was our kicker Moody? How's he going to go on if it's a bit snowy and a bit cold and, you know, it's a bit sore out there? Purdy's still got a bit of a question mark over him. Is he your franchise man? Is he somebody you want to give a bag of cash to? There's a lot of questions in this one. I think Green Bay will take it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's probably the health of the 49ers is where this one's really going to be won and lost. Purdy took a sore one on I think it was his shoulder last week, so he's questionable. You've still got Kittle questionable, and then on the defensive side, Nick Bosa, he went off with a hip injury. I mean, for his explosiveness, that could absolutely kill them on the defensive side. If he's not able to go 100%, then I think that could free up Jordan Love, free up Josh Jacobs, who's been having a great season for the Packers. That's that for me. I think it's going to be the health of the Packers. Obviously, getting CMC back, massive for the 49ers. Jordan Mason was good for them, but let's face it, he's no CMC at the end of the day. So, for me, I think we've seen a little bit of CMC the last couple of weeks. I think the 49ers really need to get him rolling. They need to get him going behind your Trent Williams, these big guys up front. We know they've got a massive offensive line. If they can get CMC rolling, I can see the path to victory for the 49ers in this one, especially with the weather. If it's going to be rotten, then you're going to be relying on that run game. I think I'm actually going to go. There's these wee teams that you just seem to have a mental block on. I think the Packers seem to have that with the 49ers. I'm going to go with the 49ers to get in and surprise them and come away with a victory in this one. And it's not just because I'm a CMC fantasy owner. I promise.
I think it's one of these, though, it is just the toss of a coin. This one I really find hard. It's Shanahan going up against LaFleur. They know each other so well. Add snow into it, as I say, cross country. That's the reason why I'm leaning. I think if it would, earlier on in the season, better weather, maybe a bit healthier, I'd definitely be going towards San Francisco. But I just think all these other things are just they're just edging it for me for Green Bay.
Yeah. I think one of the big surprises in the 49ers has been Jawan Jennings and how well he's really stepped up for them. There was always the kind of running joke with Eric, the 49ers fan that's joined us, where it's third and Jawan. It seems to be this year it's like first and Jawan, second to Jawan, third and Jawan. It just seems to be the go-to guy for Purdy. And he's really popped up with some massive performances for them. So I think if they get Kittle healthy as well, Purdy's good to go, then I think their offense kind of kicks into gear, and then they start to kind of be the ones get themselves off the bottom of their division first and foremost, and then start pushing. Because even though, they're bottom of the division, they're still only, 2 games back for the Arizona? Is that right?
Arizona 6-4, I think it is. Yeah.
One game back off the top of the division, so it's not out of this world to kind of pull that back. So, I'll go for it, Niners, but go for it, mate.
No. I was about to just say it's a hell of a division, that one. It's chop and change constantly, which I'm pretty sure maybe the next game we'll discuss in a wee bit more.
Aye, that'll
nice segue right there.
Nice segue, almost professional. So it'll be a surprise to no one on that segue that our next one is going to be staying with the NFC West. We're going to the Arizona Cardinals, travelling up to Lumen Field, the home of the 12s, and the Seattle Seahawks, who are also 5-5, sitting third in the division again, a game back from Arizona, coming off the massive win last week at home against the 49ers, where Gino ran them to victory in the last seconds. We've got, again, Kyler against Gino. I'm just looking at their stats. Both Kyler with 12 touchdowns, Gino with 11. Interceptions, your favourite, the turnovers is a massive difference. So you've got Gino with 11 and Kyler Murray really protecting the ball. He's only thrown 3 interceptions this year. Again, possibly down to kind of circumstances. James Conner's been balling out for the Cardinals. I think probably one of the biggest surprises for the Cardinals is the offensive line and how good that's been. I'd be struggling to be able to tell you a single name on that offensive line. I was listening to a podcast recently, and they were hitting off these names, and I'm like, I've never heard of this guy. It was the Arizona Cardinals offensive line. Normally, you can pick out 1 or 2, like you've got Trent Williams, you've got Creed Humphreys, you've got these kind of guys, and you can pick them out. They rattled off the full offensive line, and I had no idea who any of them were. Totally flying under the radar for how good they've been for Arizona this year.
Sometimes that's not a bad thing, though. Sometimes when it's a bad offensive line, you hear a lot more about them. Offensive line does its job well. It's guys like Kyler, it's guys like James Conner who are getting all the plaudits. They're the ones that's getting all the love because they're making all the headlines. So, but no, you're absolutely spot on. I think Arizona are another team that just to keep an eye on with this run in after Thanksgiving, just for this playoff push. They're really starting to sort of come into a game. They're seeming to just be clicking a bit better. I'd love to see more for like Marvin Harrison Jr., though. I think they need to get their passing game going much better. Can't rely too heavy on James Conner. We know he's had these injury and health issues in the past. Can you keep him healthy? Can you keep Kyler healthy? And then, as we're talking about, it's a divisional game. When you've got the number 1 team is 6-5, but the 4th team is 5-5, you saw just how close this goes. Seattle, I don't know if you saw. I was reading something earlier on Twitter X / whatever it's called these days. That they've ran out of Lecky or something like that, and I don't know if it's this cyclone bomb or something like that seems to be hitting up that way. I don't know whether the weather's going to be like this for this game, but I think there's a massive storm kind of hitting the Pacific Northwest, and it's but yeah, apparently they're not getting any electricity. They're walking about with like torches and lights in their phones and stuff like that. So I don't know how does that impact the team, their preparation for coming in, training, just general day-to-day routine, knocks them out of rhythm. And they've got, I think, 5 players no fan was no practicing as well. But do you really the 12s, do you really Seattle in Seattle again, hot Arizona, going up the Pacific Northwest, up into Seattle? I fancy Seattle just to pip this one.
I seen that just popped up when I clicked on Seattle there about the storm hitting and knocking the power out. So I'm looking at the weather for the game, and it's supposed to be rain and 9 degrees. So again, obviously outdoor field, you're not in the dome, so the weather is going to play a factor in this one. You mentioned obviously Seattle, probably known to be a kind of wet environment anyway. So I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see Kyler taking off first and foremost, and we've seen him doing it a couple of times this year, where as soon as he hits that edge, he knows he's in for a 40-yard touchdown. I think we've seen it against the Chargers. As soon as they get by that defensive line, he was saying, I'm gone, and he was pointing to the end zone, and he'd done it again a couple of games later as well. So I think you're going to see a lot of that. Obviously, James Conner, you mentioned his health. That is going to be the big concern for Arizona. He's the guy, for as good as he's been in Pittsburgh and Arizona, he's never played an entire season, which is crazy to think about. I think we're in season 6 or 7 of him now, and he's never played a full season. It just goes to show the damage that the guy takes when he is rushing. So I think you're going to see a battle between Walker and Conner in this one, and it's who can get hot, essentially, from that perspective.
Yep. So who are you calling? Have you made a pick?
I'll go with the team coming off their bye on this one. I'll go with the Cardinals. I think they're going in on form off the back of 4 wins. They are playing well. As I say, Kyler's protecting the ball, and that is the big thing. Kyler Murray seems to... He always seemed... He had a lot of these interceptions. I can't think of a season where we've been at this stage of the season where he's only had 3 interceptions. So I'll go with the Cardinals to sneak this one. We'll go with the Cardinals.
A lot more mature, isn't he, our Kyler? I'm not a gamer, but I heard that there was maybe a new Call of Duty or something like that, and is that just zened him out? Is that got him in his zone now that he's happy?
That's went the other way. Everybody thought it was going to distract him, but that's how he's in his happy place.
That's it. He's got his happy place. Just wait till Grand Theft Auto comes out. He's got to be winning the Super Bowl.
If it ever comes out.
Well, that's true.
Right, so moving on for games. We'll jump in and we'll hit Sunday Night Football. Now, I know I've seen a couple of comments on Instagram popping up, so some of the guys are keen for us to get on our Monday Night Football, but I have promised them we will get there.
Eventually.
We'll start off with Sunday Night Football. So we've got the 8-2 Philadelphia Eagles travelling into the LA Rams house, and again, we've been talking about the NFC West. Had to think about that one there. Top of the NFC West, we've got 3 teams on 5-5. The Rams are one of those teams, currently sitting in second place in that division on 5-5. Obviously, you would have seen a lot of the Rams last week when they travelled to yourselves. They've got Cooper Kupp back, they've got Puka Nacua back. Kyren Williams has been brilliant for them all season. Matt Stafford's Matt Stafford. You know what you're going to get from him. You're going to get picks, but you're also going to get these. He's going to find your receivers and he's going to bring them into games. Philadelphia Eagles side of things, again, you've got from the offensive side, you've got Saquon Barkley, backwards hurdling people this season. Outside of him, Antonio Brown, obviously he's missed time this year, but when he has played, he's looked good. I think the biggest surprise for me has probably been how locked down the secondary has been for the Philadelphia Eagles. You've got guys like Quinyon Mitchell, who's been absolutely balling out for them. Cooper DeJean has been brilliant for them. I mean, these are rookies coming into the league, and they're communicating. I was watching Darius Butler on McAfee today talking about the DBs, and you're seeing the communication between these rookies, and you'd swear they'd been in the league for like 7-8 years, the way they were talking to each other. So, Danny, talk to me about this one.
Mate, I love Philadelphia. I've got to say, since Sirianni gave up play call and passed that over, I think they just look a far better team, far more complete team. I think Barkley has been an absolute linchpin in this. Been able to take the pressure off of Hurts and running. The defense, like you said, is just been superb. You know, it was already something with our man Howie is absolute superb, but it's just drafting. You see me just pick up these players and they just fit right into their system. They know what they're looking for. They've spent a lot of draft capital over the years. You think about all the sort of different pieces they've put together. And that's now starting to gel, mature this year, like you say. And even the rookies look like, you say, been their seasoned pros. I didn't think too much early last week, to be honest. I thought Patriots made it easy for them. Say, running zero blitzy stuff was going to pick that off every single day of the week. Not going to get that with Philadelphia. You know, Mitchell is going to actually be sitting on Nakua or somebody and just absolutely lock them down. They are going to rely on carrying Williams to run the ball, but not a lot of teams can actually run in this Philadelphia Eagles team. I think it's a 3-point spread in this one, and I think it's going to be a healthier margin than that, to be honest. I think Eagles go and take care of business, move on, 7 games in a row, move up to 9-2, and I think Rams just slip back. I think Rams again have potential. I think they've been really unfortunate. They've got a lot of young players. They've had a lot of injuries. They're now just starting to come back. And again, I think that over the next month or so, they could go on a better run. I just think this game comes too early for them.
Yeah, I think what you said about the Rams, obviously Jared Verse, that rookie that they picked up in the draft, he has been unbelievable for them.
Defensive rookie of the year for me. He's been unreal. So good.
Yeah. He's going to be in that conversation. If he's not, there's something seriously wrong. Obviously, the Rams have been hampered with injuries. We know that. They lost Nakua, they lost Cup very early in the season, went on a run of losses. Again, lost to Miami, which was a strange one before they played you guys. That seemed like a kind of bizarre game for them to kind of lose, because at that point you're expecting them to that was probably a banker for most people at the Rams to kind of win that one. I'm kind of with you. I think they struggle in this one. As much as it pains me to say, because I've got a lot of shares in Cooper Kupp on a fantasy perspective. So I'm hoping that Quinyon Mitchell does follow Nakua, and it frees up Kupp, so maybe still get some points for Kupp at least, as opposed to last week when I had Terry McLaurin and get 1. It was. I think the Rams are going to struggle in this one. Philadelphia's like the 6th, I think it was the 6th best defense for points against this year. If I read that right, so yeah, I think this is a game that kind of comes too soon for them. But from a Rams perspective, they go to New Orleans the following week. It then doesn't really get any easier for them, because they've got Buffalo and San Francisco kind of back to back. Then you've got the Jets, and then you finish with Arizona and Seattle. So for me, I think the run had to come earlier for the Rams. I think they needed to stack the wins at the front end of the season, because that run-in is going to be brutal. Obviously, finishing with Arizona and Seattle, you're still going to have a chance. I think Buffalo and San Francisco, again, the Bills seem to be kind of getting themselves onto a wee roll, so I would fully expect Buffalo to kind of see them off. But yeah, I just think that the defense for the Eagles, I think, is going to be too strong. And then obviously Barkley is just going to be Saquon Barkley again. And yeah, I think the Eagles kind of run out on top in this one.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So,
Just kind of touching
again,
on.
aligned on that one.
Sorry, mate. I don't know if my
Go
Wi-Fi
for
was
it,
doing something funny there, but no, just touching on when you're talking about that division. No, I think the great thing about the Rams is just how close that division is, and we know how freaky the NFC West is, where they all kind of take wins off each other, and they all kind of, one's got them and they've got their card and they've got their card and all this sort of thing, and that could go anyway. And I think it's such a young team that they've got. I think next season, again, I think they'll be a real contender. I think they'll be a strong team. It'll be said. I just think this is far too early for them. I think it'll be a comfortable win then for Philadelphia. I think they roll on, and they're definitely a team that's hitting form. Well, they've been hitting form for a while now, but they just seem to be taking it up another level, kind of at the right end of the season.
No, totally agree with you in that front, mate. And I do, again, I totally agree with what you're saying. I think with the Rams, with another season for these rookies, and yeah, I think guys like Jared Verse getting more experience, and the other rookies kind of run about him. I do think the Rams are going to be an intriguing team next year. Obviously, you've got NCRU, if stays healthy in the off season, then you've got an absolute weapon on that offensive side of things as well. So yeah, the Rams will be interesting next year. But yeah, this could just be the start of the decline, I think, for them, unfortunately. Right, so moving on to the game that some of the guys on Instagram, so we've had a Scottish Ravens asking us, what do we think about Monday night football? So we've got the Harbaugh Bowl on Monday night. We've got the Baltimore Ravens, I would say travelling into the LA Chargers, but normally whenever somebody travels to the Chargers, it's really just a home game for them, let's be brutally honest. But yeah, Jim Harbaugh and John Harbaugh coming up against each other. You've got, again, similar records, the 7-4 Ravens travelling to the 7-3 Chargers. 7-3 Chargers seems like an absolute surprise. I didn't see that one coming, I'll be perfectly honest. I thought it'd take Harbaugh a season to kind of get his methodology across to the guys. I think we all knew they were going to lean on that run game. They have done. J.K. Dobbins has looked excellent for them this year. Justin Herbert starting to kind of chuck the ball a bit as well, and also going on runs for them as well, showing a bit of that dual threat that he does carry. Flip side, you've got Lamar Jackson. We know all about his dual threat. Derrick Henry has had a touchdown, I think, in nearly every game this year. I think it was last week, maybe the first week he didn't get a touchdown against the Steelers. So, yeah, I think this is going to be an intriguing matchup. Be interesting to hear the conversation after it as the two of them sit over a glass of wine or whatever they drink. How do you see this one going then, Danny?
That'll be interesting. They got to start telling their mum and each other and stuff like that. But it's, to be honest, I think like this when you're talking about stats, and it's the one thing you're sort of looking at is the number 2 scoring offense against the number 1, score points allowed defense. That is just a movable object up against. What's the other phrase I forget?
The unstoppable force against.
There we go. That's the one I'm thinking of. It's been a long day, mate. It's been a long day. But no, I to be honest, this one I just find absolutely fascinating. This is a game I think is worth staying up watching. This is worth the 3-hour sleepover is before you need to get up and go to your work, because I think this could go anyway. My head says Baltimore. Again, I'm kind of going off that sort of that victory that the Chargers managed to pull out last week against the Bengals. It was like one of these games that they would always lose and should always lose, but Harbaugh's come in and he's absolute goodest team just gelled. Defensively was carrying them earlier in the season. Now they all of a sudden you've got Dobbins is actually playing like a man possessed. Herbert is showing that he is elite. He's always been great, just never the pieces run about him. He now seems to have a system that suits him better. He's controlling the ball, he's looking after the ball, he's not turning it over. That defense is taking the ball away, they are creating turnovers. Baltimore seem a bit bipolar at times. One week they are just an absolute unit who you are not stopping at any. Derrick Henry is still Derrick Henry. King Henry is still going like he's very peak. and then they just kind of come up against teams like they do, and there's nothing like that. I know Pittsburgh has got an amazing defence last week, but something just doesn't click. It's almost like you can, if you just shut down Lamar a wee bit, he's obviously taking his comfort zone, something he's not happy with. You can just shut that entire offense down on them. So I think this is going to be fascinating. As I said, to me, Baltimore, I'm kind of swinging more to them. They've got more to prove. They need that kind of comeback victory. I think it's going to be better conditions. It's going to be able to run the ball better. I think Lamar's got something to prove. He's still very much, I think, favourite for MVP. Whereas, as I say, the Chargers maybe coming off of that buzz or that win after that Bengals game, just being so astute and being able to actually get that over the line. That was a massive win for them. You could almost feel a bit of relief coming through social media of their fans, like, and what the hell's going on here. So that's why I'm aiming towards Baltimore in this one. But again, it's flip the coin.
Yeah, as you said, I think if you're a Baltimore fan, it is really the defensive side of the ball that you're worrying about for me, because you're looking at it and they are just shitting points galore. I don't know what's going on with that defence for me. The Ravens you normally associate with a team that wants to kind of, again, we've said it a couple of times about getting punched in the mouth and things like that. And that's what you expect from probably all of your AFC North teams. When you go up against them, you are going to have to battle for every yard, battle for every first down. It just doesn't seem to be. It seems to be too easy for teams to move the ball on the Ravens this year. And again, for me, if I'm a Ravens fan, that's where my concern would really be, is that defense. The offense is going to move the ball. We know Lamar Jackson now. We know how good he is. We know how good Henry is as well. As you said, he's looked like probably a 25-year-old Derrick Henry this year. He has been rested, and Justice Hills took little bits off him at the right times, because he's then been able to kind of keep going and push on later on in games. We've not seen that kind of drop off that we've seen in Tennessee. When you got to this point of the season, you've seen Henry kind of slow up a little bit. He doesn't seem to be showing signs of slowing up for them. So for an offensive side, you're looking at it and you're like, well, the Ravens should be okay, but the defensive side, and again, that's really where it's going to be won and lost, especially when you get to the postseason. You come up against a Buffalo Bills, you come up against Chiefs, maybe you come up against the Chargers again. That's where your issues are going to be, the defensive side, because you can move the ball. Surely that's where the worry must be if you're Baltimore.
Yeah, 100%. That passing D, what they ranked 32nd or something in the league. Yeah. Now today, and I know again that's taking the whole stats over the season and things fluctuate on a week-to-week basis, but again, you take that defense against the way Herbert was playing, he was absolutely lights out. Again, he's very small sample sizes, but you're almost like, if that Herbert continues, again, you're talking about him MVP. If this Chargers team makes a deep run into the playoffs, that's just how good he is. He is really, really back to what everybody knew he was and everybody could see, but they just weren't getting the wins. They weren't just getting it over the line for him. And he's such a kind of quiet and unassuming guy as well, And so, but I still kind of fancy Baltimore. I don't know if it's because I'm kind of biased, because I kind of tipped them at the start of the season as being my AFC juggernaut, is going to actually, take this to the house and finally win. But they're probably more likely to be a one and done in the playoffs, to be honest, at this rate. But I really want to stay up and watch this game. I think it's going to be absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I do think it's going to be. It's definitely going to be an interesting game to watch. There's no getting away from that. As I say, I just worry about how, and again, you look back, not even just so much against Cincinnati. You look back at the week before, and Herbert was chucking the ball more. So they're slowly moving away from Dobbins, and they're going to your Quentin Johnsons. Herbert seems to be building that rapport with Lad McConkey. And if that's the case, then that's going to be the worry for the Baltimore side of things. So again, we've got Mikey, who was meant to be on with us tonight and unfortunately couldn't make it due to circumstances. He's saying the defence has been getting better each week, just taking time with the new scheme, bend not break. Monday Night Football, though, prime time Lamar will show up again. So he firmly believes that defence is going to turn up. And yeah.
It's hard not to argue. That's why kind of stats are so skewed. Saying that's an average over the season. We knew there was a new coordinator coming in. It is a new system, so Mikey's absolutely right with that one. But as I say, to me, they just seem like you don't know what one's actually going to show up. They just look like, okay, they're on this run, they're this absolute juggernaut of the AFC, and then it just comes to a crash and halt all of a sudden. Like you say, Lad McConkey, got to give him a big shout out. I'm absolutely gutted when Patriots traded back with them. We could have taken McConkey, and but we traded back and took Polk. What a great idea that was. But, that lad is always open. He is every bloody route he can run. He is getting free. He is getting space. He looks absolutely great pickup for them. And, that rapport he's building with Herbert is just going to grow and grow. So, yeah, it's just a fascinating game. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And it'll be interesting again with the brothers, just kind of is there a mentality there of, who's they want to go for it more, how many fourth downs are we going to see actually go for it, just to get one up and play mind games with each other's, all that has to come in. It's sibling rivalry, although they absolutely love each other, you can tell that a mile away. But that's good to come in. I just think it's brilliant. I think this will be an absolute great game. I'm just gutted that it's at 1:15 and bloody Monday morning, Tuesday morning.
It's going to be a tough one to get, obviously, with the time for us as well. But I do think you're right. I think it'll be worth staying up for. I'm just looking at quickly the injury report particularly for the Chargers side. You're looking at Khalil Mack's on there, Lad McConkey, who we've spoke about, and Derwin James is the big name that kind of jumps out to me as well. Having seen Derwin James far more often than I've liked, and seen him body slamming Travis Kelce a few years ago.
Beautiful.
I know you're smiling a bit already. Again, that'd be the concern for me. If these kind of guys are missing, that's going to have a massive impact on the Chargers. Now, again, they've got the extra day rest, so it could just be they've been given today as a rest day. Obviously, two of those guys are seasoned pros at this stage of their career, so it might just be an extra day rest for them. But yeah, I'm with you. This is going to be fascinating for me. So you said you're going Ravens on this one, didn't
you? Yeah. See, when I was when I was typing up my notes, I've actually got 27-23 to the Chargers, and throughout this process, I've managed to talk myself back into the Ravens. That shows you just how kind of close it is. But no, I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to stick with the Ravens. I've talked myself into them. For Mikey, who was obviously meant to come on tonight and unfortunately couldn't, I'm going to do it for him as well. So yes, I'm going Ravens. What about yourself, mate?
So for me, I'm not going to put the CRU curse on Mikey. I could go Ravens and put the CRU curse on him, but no, I'm going to go Chargers in this one. Again, I've liked what they've done on the defensive side. They're not shitting a lot of points overall in the season. They have been playing great on defense. Their offensive line is obviously Joe Alt's been an absolute monster for them. It really has. I mean, that has been an absolute great pickup for Harbaugh's system. They're moving the ball well. Again, the secondary. Mikey's sorry, I'm laughing. Mikey's just said, "Good man, stunts." So, as I say, I do think it's a flip a coin as much as I'm saying that. I think, obviously, those injuries that I mentioned, if James is out, Mack's out, then I would probably lean more towards the Ravens. But I do think those guys will be back because they are just...
I think so.
I do think it's a coin flip all the same. But, yeah, I'm just a little bit worried about the secondary for the Ravens. And then I had a quick wee peek at their schedule. So they actually go for the Chargers to a home game against Philadelphia. So it definitely doesn't get any easier for them in terms of the defences they're coming up against. But then they go into their bye week. So maybe they go in a week, maybe they take 2 losses just now. And then if they do that, come back off the bye week, they need to win those last 4 games and get hot going into the kind of playoff side of things. So yeah, I'll go Chargers so as I don't curse them there. Right, we've got a couple of minutes then, Danny. So I'd put on our notes then to have a quick wee chat about the offensive rookie of the year heating up. So very, very quickly, let's have a quick wee chat about offensive rookie of the year. Who do you think is going to take off the vermilion and crimson glasses before you start the conversation? Who do you think is going to be rookie or offensive rookie of the year, and why is it going to be Joe Alt?
I would love it. I would love a big guy to get it, you know.
I did joke about it, but again, Jaden Daniels was running away with it, but Joe Alt's been the most consistent offensive player
of the
season.
Unfortunately, they just don't get their kudos, do they? They don't get. It's not a fancy position. It's not glorious. You know, it's hard work. It's grunt. It's big guys running into each other. But the difference that a great tackle makes to a team, you know, it's everything. To be honest, let's face it. Everybody knows this game is won and lost in the trenches. It's not to do with your, you know, what good's a great quarterback if you can't protect them. So, as much as I love that, right now I'm going Bo Nix. I genuinely think he's just going to go better and get better and get better. I think there's more tape maybe in Daniels now as well. Defence is starting to suss him out a wee bit more. I think Sean Payton's going to have his way and really mould Nix into a much better quarterback. And by the end of the season, I think they're going to make the playoffs. So I'm going to be a homer here as well. I genuinely think if May had more game tape and not just the last 6 games, I think if he had more, he would be well in the conversation. I think May has been unreal. I've watched every minute of him playing and he's an absolute stud. He is a player. But I think just given the record and the fact he's only sort of started 6 games and obviously he get concussed in a game as well, he's not got to be in the running, but he definitely should be talked about, and really he's got a big bright future in this game. I'd love to see other guys like we're talking about Lad McConkey involved as well, but yeah, I'm going with Bo Nix, to be honest, and I never thought I would have said that a month ago.
Yeah, I think the recent form, you're looking at Bo Nix as well, and then I'm looking at his schedule as well. He's obviously got Vegas this weekend, then he's got the Browns. Then they go and buy, comes back to Indianapolis, you've got the Chargers, Cincinnati and Kansas. And again, there's defences in there. Obviously, Chargers and Kansas are more difficult ones. Cincinnati's letting people throw on them, so he could certainly run up his stats. So no, definitely not a bad shout for Bo Nix. Right, mate. We're at a close then for the preview crew week 12. So thank you very much for joining me. Thanks very much for everybody joining on Instagram, watching along live as well. Thanks for all the comments and that as well, guys, and getting involved. Again, do follow, like, and subscribe on all your usual channels. And yeah, thanks very much, Danny, buddy.
No, it was a pleasure, mate. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Superb. Taking a long shift with me, Danny. I do appreciate it, my man.
Always, mate.
Cheers. Thanks a lot, everyone.